Welcome, Mets world. All right, yes. What's it called? The Mets. The Mets had a huge spending weekend this past weekend. Man, oh man, Max Scherzer is going to be a New York Met. Yes, Max Scherzer is going to be a New York Met. I was gonna make the video last night, but I needed to digress a little bit. I needed to, sleep on it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be way too excited. My neighbors are going to call the cops on me saying that I'm being way too loud. But yes, Max Scherzer is a New York Met. He will be in Flushing for at least the next 2 years with a player option for a third year. Okay. It's a 3-year contract for $130 million. The Mets ended up breaking the AAV, the average annual value per year that a player would get salary wise. Before it was Garrett Cole, I believe he was at like $38 million a year, and Max Scherzer has broken it. He is now got a record breaking deal of per year salary is at $43.3 million a year. All right, and wow. Max Scherzer is about 36 or 37 years old. He will be in Flushing, give or take, till 39, 40 years old. And there was a lot of questions as would you give a pitcher of that age that big of a contract? And the answer is yes, you give it to him, because we've seen Max Scherzer, throughout the entirety of his career. All right, yes, he played a large factor in Detroit, but then he even played a longer factor in the Nationals, where he ended up winning a World Series title. And he shows that he can pitch in the big games. He can handle that pressure. He's pitched great in the playoffs. All right, he wanted to, he didn't want to go to the Mets during the trade deadline because he wanted to go into a situation where he can possibly win. That's why he went with the Dodgers. And he pitched really well with the Dodgers in that second half of the season. I know they got eliminated in the NLCS, and he couldn't pitch in that Game 7 because his arm was cooked and he was being overused. But the fact that now Max Scherzer is officially in Flushing, in Queens, with the New York Mets, okay? You might have possibly one of the best 1-2 punch combos in all of baseball, history-wise, with Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer. Jacob deGrom was a two-time, Cy Young Award winner. Max Scherzer, I believe he was also another two-time Cy Young Award winner. And, what Jacob deGrom has been able to do the last couple of years has been able to show, that this guy is not on the decline. It wasn't a fluke that he ended up having such great years, that he's able to consistently do it. The only problem is with Jacob deGrom is health. Is he going to be able to be injury-free for an entire year? I mean, he was able to do that for a number of years, but in the last 2 years, it's been injury after injury after injury. Well, Max Scherzer, now it takes a little bit of the pressure from Jacob deGrom that he has to pitch every fifth day. If deGrom has to sit down for a start or two, I'm sure Scherzer can handle the load. The question is now with the Mets, are they going to be able to get that one extra starter? I know that Marcus Stroman is out there. They were looking at Kevin Gausman, but Kevin Gausman decided to go to Toronto. Robbie Ray, I believe he went to Seattle, if I'm not mistaken. So pitchers are slowly, getting off the board. Who will the Mets go after? I don't know if they could go after somebody in a trade. They might have to give up some key pieces. I know the Mets are really trying to hold on to Brett Beatty, Ronnie Mauricio, Alvarez. I know they're trying to hold on to those players, and I know those are their future. But there's still a little bit of work left to be done for Billy Eppler. Billy Eppler so far has been doing a great job. I believe it was on Friday, right after the Steven Matz fiasco, where Steve Cohen sent out a fiery tweet and it just lit like a fire in his stomach. Billy Eppler was able to get the green light, and he ended up signing Eduardo Escobar, Mark Hanna, and then he was able to sign Starling Marte. Now, Starling Marte got the biggest deal. He 4 years, $78 million. That's huge because there's a little bit of versatility. He could play center field or he could play the corner outfields, but you have a speedster right there. I believe he ended up stealing over 40 bags last year. Mark Hanna. This guy, you could put him in outfield, you could put him at first base, you could put him, wherever, outside of shortstop and second base. I think he could play third. I might be mistaken, but what's it called? Marcano's a great build. You have Eduardo Escobar, who can play second, who can play short. If Lindor needs a day off, he could play third. Great bat. I believe he had like 28 home runs last year. Did really well. I love those signings, but then the big signing of Max Scherzer was just, the cherry on top. And it shows that, the Mets, Steve Cohen, Billy Epler, they're willing to spend money. This is not how it was during the Wilpon era, where if they messed up on a bad signing, that it was going to scare them away from trying to sign another big fish. You saw with Jason Bay in the Wilpon era, when they signed him, they gave him a big contract at that time, and this guy was hot trash. He was garbage. All right, he couldn't do anything whatsoever. Anything that we expected him to do, like how he was playing in Pittsburgh and in Boston, he couldn't translate that into Flushing. We saw that with Johan Santana, who was pretty good. He got us that no-hitter, but he had a ton of arm injuries, and it seems that's why Minnesota was willing to let him go. But with Max Scherzer in the Steve Cohen era, Steve Cohen was more than willing to give him that money, and he has more money than any other owner in baseball, so he can outbid anybody whatsoever. So that's great right there. And Max Scherzer going to be in Flushing with Jacob deGrom. All right, your other two starters are Tyler Morgill and Taijuan Walker. Those are good back pieces for the ending of the rotation, but we need that third starter right there. Do you bring Marcus Stroman back? I don't know. I would be okay bringing him back. The only problem is that I know people say the whole social media stuff. He's very antsy. He likes to fire back at people. Doesn't really bother me, but I can understand why it could bother like an organization. But yes, I love the fact that Scherzer is here. The only thing that will scare me is like, will his velo end up dropping down as he starts to get older? Which that's something that you have to take into consideration, that he's already into his late 30s, approaching his 40s. So that would be one factor. But yes, Scherzer, deGrom, Walker, McGill, great rotation right there. It's the best 1-2 punch combo in baseball, rotation-wise, between deGrom and Scherzer. Now, we need to figure out, do we retain Javi Baez back? Do we try to go after a Carlos Correa? What's gonna be our situation at third base? All right, and what's going to end up happening, with that third starter. But guys, yes, Max Scherzer is officially a Met. The sky's the limit with Epler and Steve Cohen, running baseball along with Sandy Alderson. Let's see what happens. But this move right here assures that, they are really trying to, win the division, and then, trying to see if they could excel far into the playoffs. But, this is not a championship team yet, but it's, there's hope. There's hope with this signing right there. Until then, guys, I am Flavo Rihanna. Thank you for tuning in to Take Your Base. And please hit that like and subscribe button, guys. It really helps out the channel. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace, guys, and have a good one.